All right. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm going to dive into this. Just going to be painting with light, basically using lighting effects, brushes mainly, and yeah, really just kind of like dramatically changing the look of a scene. So that is the plan. Yeah, so that is the plan. We're going to do that. Just checking the feed. Everything looks pretty good, and I am so happy that you're joining me today. So I'm going to share my screen here using Photoshop. I actually use, of course, Illustrator as well. And you'll see that here in a second. Just waiting for the feed to pop up other places. So let's switch over if I can. See a number of images that I'm going to work with. So thank you, Steve. John, Najin, feel free to say hello. It's good to see you here. Yes, fantastic. There we go. Okay. Cool. So here's just another number of images that I'm going to use. Hopefully you can hear me. Nicole, awesome. I love some of these like dramatic images. I'll just get rid of some of these lighting effects that I currently have. But I'm kind of having some fun with basically adding some drama to some already dramatic images, such as this one, right? So it's like, how can we light this different and make this whole photo just much more dramatic is the idea. David, good to see you. Ciao. Good to see you. Shibura, awesome. Cool. Thanks for joining me. So, awesome. So here's what I have for one photo. I'll typically do a Command J to jump that layer, right? So here's my duplicated layer, right? And we do a number of things from here. A lot of times I'll just do a Command L, right? That's gonna bring up levels just to boost this up. So I love auto buttons because it does things automatically for me, which is nice. I was just watching a guy spend 45 minutes using selecting an image with a pen tool. Such is life, right? But again, we can really dramatically increase and see really what's going on in this scene just by increasing the levels. Obviously, when I add it that way, it's destructive. So for this dove, what would actually behoove me to do is turn that into a smart object. So I just converted that to a smart object. Right click, convert to smart object. I actually set up a shortcut key. It just makes it much easier to get things started. So now when I add an adjustment layer like levels or curves, right? If I add levels here, obviously I'm gonna have a lot more control because I can actually scale it back when I need to, right? So what that adds is this levels to that particular image. All right, you guys get it. You guys understand how this works, right? Let's make this fun and dramatic, and let's just have a good time today, shall we? One thing I'm gonna do, and I use actually the object selection tool a lot. I use quick selection tool a lot. But probably most importantly, I just come up here and I just do select subject, right? Bam, select subject, do your job, right? It does its job. Let's go ahead and add that as a layer mask right down here. And let me increase the size of those thumbnails for my panel so you can see those down in the corner. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that down there. Cool. We got that going on. We can add some more drama to the background. Let's just throw in some color or a burst, or maybe some maybe something that's already licensed would be nice. Let's see what I got. A bunch of things that are not licensed. Let's just grab an image and drop it in. There's one image. In fact, you know what? Let's go beyond that. Let's throw a gradient in there because I just want to kind of make this pop and bring this to life so we can see what got selected and what didn't in this case, right? So already I'm actually, this again is just to enable me to see what's selected and what isn't. And then I'll come in and just do this business. Just like that. Nessie, how you do? Philippines in the house. Awesome. Let me know where you're from. Steve's from New Zealand. Good to see you, Steve. And let's just work on this for a little bit, shall we? I have this dove. I actually want to work on this crow or raven, actually. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. Sort of the differences between a crow and a raven are slight, to be honest with you. Mainly you can tell by the sound they make, and obviously I can't determine what sound they make based on a photo, so that's the issue I'm running into. But we have our dove. Click OK. There it is, looking beautiful. Play with that gradient mask some more, right? We can see what we get like so. It's okay. All right. Got that done. Let's move that off to the side. And now I can add this to potentially a different scene that I have set up. So let's take a look right over here. I have this one. I have this cool image as well. Absolutely love this one right here. It's really cool, very dramatic, and I could bring that into this photo. So that's what I'm going to do. There's my dove. Boom. Drop it in, actually into this one right up here. Dropping it right in there. Let's drop a couple images in there. Let's bring that crow in, all into one PSD is what I'm doing. And we can get rid of these other ones. There we are. Fantastic, right? This is how I typically do all of my compositing, right? I have all these layers, I'll often center vertically and horizontally. I'll often do like a reveal all, so I can actually see the whole canvas, because some of these images are going to be larger than others. But now that I want to combine some of these, I can take this one and combine it with this image beneath it as well, and paint with some light. How do I switch between views? It's just a shortcut. So that's what I have set up. Is right up here. I have two shortcuts. I have tile, which is I mash all the keys together and hit T for tile. And then to go back, I just select the key that's right next to it, which is mashing all the keys together and consolidating all to tabs. So my big shortcut there is all my shortcut keys are always mashing Control, Option, and Command together, because very few apps use all three of those keys with a letter. So that's kind of how I determine what to use. There that is. Let's make that a smart object. Let's shrink this down, right? We could do that business. We could add some more fun lighting effects to this is the plan. I also have this image as well. So there's a number of things we can do in here that I'm excited about. Okay, so we have our dove like so. This one already has some cool drama going on, but we want to cast more light onto it. Is it better to link an image or convert it to a smart object? I like to convert it to a smart object because then I don't need to remember like where it is, because technically it's another file, but it's still part of this PSD. If it's a linked file, I'll end up breaking that link or something, or I'll send somebody the PSD and they're like, Paul, you didn't send me the linked file. So that's why I don't do linked files, right? Cool. All right. All right, so here we have this. Again, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with all of these, but it all starts with the same process of selecting the subject, like I'm doing now. Sure enough, it selects the subject, and then I'll use just the quick selection tool to jump in and select more of that, because it actually did not get all of this, right? Sometimes I'll use the quick selection tool. Sometimes I'll use the lasso tool like I'm doing right now to quickly grab this bottom part like that. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Coming right in here, we didn't get this middle part right here. So again, quick selection tool. Hold down the Option key, make the brush smaller, and we'll just click. Wait, hold on. We need to add two. So we'll just click right in here. Am I losing my mind? Minus. Yeah, there we go. So I could try using the quick selection tool right in here as well. Oftentimes what that's going to mean is you're probably going to have to jump in and select it yourself, right? So that's what I'm realizing with this part, right? Boom, boom. I'll try to go as fast as possible, by the way. Hold down the Option key with the lasso tool selected. It's going to give you those straight lines, but all I'm using is a mouse, and we'll grab that chunk right there. Right, there it is. Layer mask, there we are. New layer with a background of sorts, and then we can start to play with some of these elements. Cool. Let's start painting with some light. We can do this a couple different ways as well. Yeah, Dawn, I'm just using a mouse, so feel free, say hello. Also, if you're joining me on Creative Cloud's Facebook page, would love to hear from you from there. So just like I did earlier, right, I was brightening up the whole image using an adjustment layer, right? So we could do that. We can go in, we could use levels and brighten up the whole image, right? And by the way, I'm going to clip it just to this statue. Now that it's clipped, by the way, I just did a right click, create clipping mask, or just do the shortcut key of Option and then click. And now it's clipped to that statue. So now it's only going to affect the statue, right? So I can make this brighter if I want to. I can make this brighter. I don't want the whole thing brighter, right? I maybe just want the top edge brighter. So I will invert this layer mask. So now nothing is there. And now I'll use a brush. B for brush. X. Sorry I'm going so fast, but I always go fast, right? Look, I have these two black and white colors. You hit that X key, you could flip between those. Hit the X key. Da, 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 da. B for brush. So that's what I do all the time, right? I make sure white is in there, right? So I'll just make sure white's in the foreground. I can come up here and just kind of start painting like so, and it's adding more of a splash of brightness on top of these particular characters. That's all I'm doing, right? It's gonna splash more light right here, right here. I'll also take the flow down as well, right? So I'll use the flow a lot, right? That means it's gonna build up to 100% and won't be 100% to begin with. So that's all I'm doing, just adding a splash of light on the top, because that's where I'm gonna also add some other elements. Cool. Mitra, you are the best, and I want to thank you for joining me. Let me know where you're from, your specific address. Just kidding, that's weird. Michelle, good to have you here. Hello. Hello, Karen from Colorado as well. Hey, that's where I'm from. Imagine that. I have all these cool, like, fun design elements I could use, right? These are in Illustrator. I can consider using some of them. They might be kind of cool to use, right? They might be kind of fun. I would probably play with them a lot, but before I even grab them, what I want to do is I'm just going to make a big circle. So we're going to use an ellipse, and typically when you draw out an ellipse, let's just change this back to kind of like your default. When you draw out an ellipse, and let's do this underneath the statue, you know, it's going to make it just one big circle. That's not what I want. I actually just want a line. So I can do this a couple different ways, but I could easily go over to my properties panel and say, hey, you know what? Don't fill it with a color, but do give it a stroke of white. Okay? So now it has that lovely stroke of white, or even a lovely like gold color is what I'm going for, and increase the size of it as well. So that's how I'm basically making my lines. Pilar, hello from San Francisco. Miguel from Spain. Ah, this is so cool to see you here. This is awesome. If I want to make this glow, I can do this a couple different ways, just like anything. But since it's already an ellipse, I can add an outer glow to it. Right, here's my outer glow with this sort of soft goldish color. Right, we'll even push it more into the yellow. And then, rather than set to normal, which is, don't do this, change this blend mode down to darken. Isn't going to do anything because there's no dark colors there. Lighten is not going to make it look like it changed much. But go into like something like overlay or soft light, right? We could see that. It's this third section where you're gonna get some interesting options, okay? So there I can change that, you know, to overlay. I can make the spread or the size more intense, and we can see it start to glow a little bit more. All right, cool. We have this lovely, let's go with soft light. I'm just trying a couple different things. Okay, any light source has two things going on. It's usually the color is further out, and the closer to the source, the brighter it's going to get, right? So it's okay that this is set to soft light and it's pretty big. That's kind of what we want, okay? But that would mean the center actually should be brighter, so the stroke could be a little lighter. So let's just double click on that. Wait for it. Make that a little brighter, like so, okay? Another thing I will do is I will add a couple glows, right? So I'll double click, go back into this layer style. Let me know if you have questions. I'm here to help you. I'm here to hopefully inspire you and just create something awesome. Afroja, good to see ya. Mitra from Israel. Oh, this is awesome. So a lot of these effects, yeah, you can add, but you can add multiple of them. You can't add multiple outer glows, okay? But what you can do is you can add, say for instance, and let's see if it's in here. You can always go down here, adding a drop shadow. So let's add a drop shadow, and this drop shadow, you'll start to see it. I'm gonna make it look much more drastic. There's my drop shadow, right? See that drop shadow as I kind of move it around? Of course, white, I'll change the color to red so you could really see it, obviously, right? So oftentimes I'll take a drop shadow, I'll change the distance to 0, right? But then we can go ahead and increase its spread or its size, okay? So that's gonna enable us to give me a second outer glow using the drop shadow. Obviously I don't want it red, I wanna get into this fun glowy color, kind of like that, like so. It's very subtle. How's everybody doing today, huh? How are you doing? Kind of like that. That's okay. All right, so we have a little bit of a glow. I can change those colors at any time because rather than yellow, I feel like it should be actually more of a gold. So let's tweak that so it's more of a lovely gold. Ah, that's more like it. We have two colors going on there. And here's the thing, anything you add via layer styles or some automated process is gonna seem very automated and not very natural. So I usually like to go in and you can actually just paint. So we'll select, you know, a lovely color again and use a brush. So selecting the brush, taking the flow down to like maybe 10, and then we can add some more to this. So we can just kind of add a little bit of irregularity to it just to make it a little bit more interesting. So it's not just so boring, you know? We want it to be like just a little bit different and unique, right? And all I'm doing is painting with that brush, okay? It's just the little things. Drinking coffee and fulfilling mask orders. Oh wow, you're working on some masks. Awesome. We have the glow, we have our lips. Let's do this now, cause now that we have this set up, we can go in, we can select the line tool, right? And let's just like have fun with the line. We're gonna draw a line down, bam, there it is. The fill is set to that, like, I don't even know what color you'd call that. Washed out gold, right? But check this out, here's my new, oh, that made that interesting. Here's my new shape, right? So let's just do this really fast. Now that I have this outer glow set up, I can grab an effect I can hold down the Option key and drag an effect by holding down the Option key and drop it onto any other layer that I want. Bop, there it is. Ah, now it's glowing, right? So that's how you do that. Drag, drop. We can see that start to amplify right there. Let me show you something else. You ready for this? Love this. Let's do, we'll call this new folder, it's called dashes, okay? And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do a step and repeat, okay? So rather than duplicating this and moving it over and rotating it and doing that, you know, 12 or 24 times, what I can do is I can delete that. I can do this. I can do, what is it? Option Command T to transform this. Right now I'm gonna move this over and I'm gonna rotate it 15 degrees. And it's okay, I'm not gonna get this perfect right out of the gate. Okay, but I'll rotate it 15 degrees, hit enter. Okay, so I did a transform, but I held down the Option key as well. Option Command T. Now, so that copies this transform that I just did. And now I get to do the repeat portion. Okay, so here, Shift, Option, Command. I hope it's, gosh, I don't even remember. Let's see. No, zip. Hold down Shift, Option, Command, T. And then you can see that it starts to duplicate the last transform that I did and make a new item. So that's what I'm doing. Going around that circle, bop, 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 bop. There it is, right? We have all my dashes in this lovely folder. Command T, kind of scale it down and position this where I want it, okay? So that's the idea. Yeah, you can drag and drop effects. Yes, thank you. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys like it, right? We could have some fun with, gosh, what is the year? 2020 in Roman numerals. So let's just have some fun. 2020 in Roman numerals. Oh, MMXX. I guess I should have known that, but I didn't, right? We could do kind of the same thing. Click right in here, paste that in, MMXX, and change the font to something that's going to be a serif font. And let's just kind of roll through these. Oh, Big Caslon. Cool. Big Caslon. Done. Okay, since you guys did like that ability to drag and drop, we can do the same thing with text. Holding down the Option key, drag the effects, drop it onto MMXX. When I do that, lights it up. How do you get rid of the center? Right? Get rid of the fill by dragging down the fill. Whoop, wrong layer. Oops. Go back up here, take the fill down. Let me show you what's going to happen. This is what happens. I've taken down the fill to 0, so it gets rid of the fill. And let's kind of put this in the center. This needs a lot of work, by the way. I'm not even like crazy about the design. I'm not gonna lie. All right. So here's what happens. Kind of want to point this out. We have this glow that I just dragged and dropped. I need to fix it. This outer glow is like way off. Let's take that down. It's just too intense. The drop shadow is pretty intense as well, so I could take that down. Okay. But we need this to be just like a line. So I, at this point, need to introduce an inner glow right there. Bam, inner glow. Same color. So we'll go to this outer glow. It's going to be this one. Copy. Paste. Right. And same properties. Let's make this soft light. You ready for this? One more thing, jumping in here, stroke. There's our stroke. That's gonna be the same color as that line. And now we have roughly that same look, as you can see here. Oops, sorry about that. All right. Yeah, you don't have to copy and paste effects. Just hold down that shift key. I was kind of doing a clock thing. I would probably add more interesting elements in here because once I have my effects set up, I could use a custom shape tool. I can grab a triangle. Maybe there's a triangle right up here. And from there, what do? Come down here. Since we're all in love with this right now, option drag, bam. And that's done. Just take that fill down to 0. And now we have this like triangle right there, and we can add more elements if we need to as well. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. What else shall we add? Could be a square or a diamond. I don't know, I'm thinking about it. Let's try this. There it is. Take that down, hide it. It's kind of what I'm thinking. All right. Cool, alt drag or option drag. Yeah, whatever you're using. Thank you, RJ. I appreciate it. We need to do a lot more lighting in here for sure. We have all these fun elements that we made, right? So let's take all these. Group. We'll just call these like symbolism. And let's have fun with this statue, right? So now we could have fun with this. What shall we do? Let's do this. Curves. Let's play with some curves. Using curves to make this look much darker. There we are. Okay, let's also paint on this. Clipping mask. We'll just call this glow. B for brush. Come in here, make sure the flow is turned down a lot, right? And we can paint, but this is not that exciting, honestly. This is like, no, this isn't really doing what we want it to. We just want to keep the darks dark, and where it's light, that's where we need to add this new color. So that's going to be changing the blend mode. So right up here, you can see, we change this to, you can change it actually to one of these darkened ones. I'm going to go into overlay, to be honest, because I've done this before. Right, but now we can paint, and now we're painting with that light and just giving it that splash of color that just looks so cool, right? Just add that splash of color like so, giving us what we want. We do it just around the edge. That's not going to give us what we want. We need to have it, make sure it splashes onto the face. And it would actually help me out a lot if I started to shift the color a little bit, right? Just a little, making it a little bit different color, just adding some variance with all this is all I'm doing, right? Can you put some tattoo on his hand? I probably could, but probably not gonna. Is that okay? Since it's my design. Right, love this. Getting rid of those cool tones, keeping it nice and warm on this side, and this just gets to be like a lot of fun as I start to just add this lovely gold color everywhere I need to, everywhere that light will be. I will assume that there's going to be like maybe a secondary light down here that's going to be blue. So again, adding this gold on top, and then I would add blue toward the bottom, and I would amp that up as well. Okay, so we got that. We can amp that up. There's probably lots of different things I would do. Let's just do that really fast. Let's throw a little blue down here. Same process. We'll grab a lovely teal blue, like that. Come down here, And we're just going to experiment right now, right? Here's the color that we're painting down here. We're going to change that blend mode to overlay, right? And you can see it does everything for us, right? So now, yeah, it was a little intense, but that's what I'm gonna do, is just like add just like a splash of a different color down there if I want to. Again, super intense, not what I was planning, but I could always tone that down, just like erase a little bit of it. You guys get the idea. Any brush resource websites, if you want, this is what I would do. You want brushes? It's this easy. Go right up here to the flyout menu, or go to Window, Brushes, and then just jump, oops, not channels, brushes. Here's my brushes panel. I've gotten a lot from Adobe Live, which is cool. I got clouds, I got sparkler brushes, or as I called them, splarkler. I didn't even spell it right. Special effects brushes. Here's some spatter brushes from Kyle T. Webster. But what I would do is I would go out here to get more brushes. That's what you're going to do, because I think that's a great idea. We need a regularity in light, and then maybe just like, are there some sparkles or something like that going on, right? So that's what I would consider using. Again, these are going to be a little intense, not quite what I wanted, but I got lots of fun ones in here. So let's just go ahead and create a new layer, and let's see what happens. So here's one, for instance. Yeah, no, that's not working, right? That's just too much. Yeah, no, it's not working for this project, but I downloaded it. I thought it'd be kind of cool. It really just needs a couple of light lens flares. Here we go. Here's some lens flares that I've made. It's actually created a lens flare, turned it into a brush, and now we can just change the color. And again, we're gonna make it really small. I agree. Who said that? Lokesh, yeah, the MMXX needs help, needs more intensity, needs to be like more irregular as well. So that's where I would drop some of this in. If you ever have a brush, you want to rotate it, you could use the arrow keys. So I'm holding down the left arrow key and I'm rotating this one just so it looks different. We'll just drop it right there. You can see how bright that one is. And again, a little intense. You get the idea. Right, cool thing is I can like play with this all I want. Again, just in these spots where it needs to be like a little more intense. Bing, bing. Try a different one, why not? I don't know why I made these brushes so huge. They're like 12,000. Size is like 12,000, right? But there we go. There's some intense light bits, if you will, that make it look a little more interesting. Cool. All right, so again, this is just the start. I didn't even work on this dove, didn't spend much time on it at all. I think it definitely needs a lot of work, but I'm also running out of time. Remember, here's my original dove. Yeah, it needs so much work. I would throw some levels on it. Let me show you one more thing. You ready for this? MB and Alex and everybody? Like, check this out. These are my sparks. So let's just move that down. And wait 1 second. Wait for it. Move that up. Okay. Again, this is super interesting. I have this smart object, right? If I add an adjustment layer down here, so I'll throw like curves in here, right? It's going to add it as a separate layer on top. That's what it does. When you have a smart object, it throws it on top. You probably know that, right? But check this out. If you have a smart object and you go to Image, Adjustments, up here, let's see what happens when I add it this way. Image Adjustments, Curves. Adding in this curve, right? Let's just change this. Zoop. Make it darker and just more dramatic. Okay, so we're gonna make this darker. A little too dark. Click OK. And what it did there is it actually adds the curves right in here as a smart filter. I personally like that because it cleans up my layers panel. So I don't have all these crazy adjustment layers. It locks that into there and I can just nest that in there and I don't have to worry about it again. That's the idea. All right, take that down. Put a splash of color on this dove. Right, you get the idea. I hope you find this interesting. I'm actually just having fun at this point. Changing this to overlay. Right, now we can have our dove be like a little intense there. Maybe even a new layer. B for brush. Maybe paint out or make it darker, this other side. So again, going in, changing that to say soft light, but I'm kind of making the top a little different. Yeah, I don't know. It's not quite working. Is it okay that I say that? All right, you know when I'm concentrating because I get really quiet, right? Let's just bring out this, that. Wait for it. All right. Okay, there we go. Just needed some more of that light. Sorry I was working so small, but right in here I would just start to add a lot more contrast and vibrance and change the color to be like a little bit more intense. Right, you get the idea. So, let me know if you have questions. I'm kind of just like wrapping up, just kind of putting some finishing touches in here. Right, we have that little, I would want this dove to be like behind everything, so we'll group it. Here's our dove, smaller, right, back, behind, everything else. Something kind of like, I don't know, like that. I don't know, I'm working on it. It's a work in progress, as you can see. I think the rest is looking pretty good. The great thing is I can take any elements and I'll kind of finish up with this. Let's take some of these elements from Illustrator. Not everything, because I actually don't like these gray parts. Get rid of those. Let's take the rest of this, we'll copy it, we'll bring this in, and in place of some of this symbolism that I have here, let's turn that off, let's paste in this new smart object, this larger size, and not only that, let's make sure we just option drag that effect onto this new object. Yeah, so that's what you have. Just trying different things. See, I guess, where this ends up when I get it posted to, you know, good old Instagram is the plan. So thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this lovely, what is it, Wednesday already? Lovely Wednesday afternoon. Here's another thing, I wanted to change this color. This color needs to be actually just not so yellow. I will just pick the color that I want. We'll go right over here to that layer, and I just want to paint the pixels that are, I want to lock the transparency, but paint on the pixels that are there. So click on that, and that locks the transparency. So now I'm just going to be able to paint on those parts that are like a little bit more yellow. Right, and that's what's happening now. And in fact, that's even a little intense. I would erase it some more, but you get the idea. I'm gonna let you go. I've been saying that for the past 10 minutes, I feel, but just wait to see what I end up creating and posting accordingly. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for more, and yeah. See me next week. I'm actually hosting the Daily Creative Challenges for Photoshop. So check that out. Again, thanks for watching. 2020. Let's end it on a high note, shall we? Appreciate you guys. Remember, stay safe, stay healthy, drink lots of water, call your mom, and thank you very much. We will see you